Hey yo, and welcome back to a new video where for the first time in the last 5 days we have an actual clock, which is amazing. And this is another episode in my journey to 2400, and we're only around 260 points off, so hopefully I will get there soon. Let's just get into the game. I start off with d4. My opponent goes d5, very natural. My opponent decides to go for this. I play bishop f4, knight f6, e3. This is classic London theory. My opponent decides to go bishop f5, and I like to play c4 here. It's a line. It kind of gets up into like a weird like London Queen's Gambit type structure, but I really like these positions, and they throw black off their guard most of the time, which is always a good thing. My opponent goes e6. I develop my knight. I mean, what can be more natural? Bishop b4, all happened before. Queen b3. Very natural. I didn't want to go rook c1 because I think this is a blunder. I think like rook c1 here. No. Maybe I'm mistaking it, but there's some blunder here that I fell for a lot back in the day after like some rook c1 stuff where my rook would get trapped in the corner, and I don't really want to get into all that, so I just didn't, and I played queen b3 instead. My opponent was knight c6. Of course, very natural. I don't really have anything else to say to that. I go h3, trying to force the bishop into doing something. It takes. I take back with the pawn, of course. The reason I take back with the pawn, to the uninitiated, it makes a lot more sense to take back with a queen and keep your pawn structure intact. But for now, I like the doubled pawns because actually I want to capture. Right, I want to capture and then get another c4 pawn push. That's the point. I want to capture and get another c4 pawn push to like soften him up even more. That's kind of why I want two c pawns here. A little bit of a breach in normal play, but it's completely fine, completely normal. Opponent goes knight a5. I decide to go queen b4. I'm just sliding up on square, hitting the knight. He's forced to play c6, and then I can start my reign of terror. My opponent goes c6. I decide here to play a very interesting move. I was kind of getting a little creative here. Not the best move, but bishop g5 is very interesting. The idea here is actually like the queen is kind of overloaded with all these knights that's defending. So like if he's gonna play like h3, I take, and he has to take back with the pawn to keep his knight intact. And this is kind of my idea. And then I would take on d5 and play c4 again. We get into a game of chess. But instead, my opponent decides to play b6 to defend the knight. Kind of an overcommitment, but it's fine. I take on f6 pretty quickly. I didn't really want to be there too long. I thought that this is probably the best move. I just want to get rid of my light squared bishop, which could be a problem in some lines, and I thought this knight was actually a bit of an issue. Takes. And one thing about my queen being on b4, which I really like, is that now my opponent can't castle short, and his king is going to be stuck in the middle for a while. So I thought that I was doing quite well here. I thought I was probably slightly better. I make kind of a mistake here. I went with my plan a little early. Like, I should have just simply developed. I should have played knight f3 in like no time. It's clearly the best move. I'm just developing a piece. Instead, I decide to capture on d5, which isn't that good of a move. Just trying to do my plan a little early. If he takes with the c pawn, obviously I'm winning. Like no, he's not gonna survive this. But he takes with the e pawn because he knows what he's doing. And I thought, well, let's continue with my plan. And my plan was like forever to go c4 again, but the issue is that I miss his key move, and I'm actually doing very, very poorly here. I thought that, well, when I play this, I saw this pin towards my rook. Like, I knew this was a thing, but I didn't think that c5 worked. I just didn't think that this worked for some reason. For some reason, I thought that I could, like, take, and then the knight will lose its guard while he takes the rook, and then I get, like, something like that, but like I that's just not true. That's not how chess works, and I'm just in a worse position here. I'm losing. It's -1.5. I'm gonna lose like a pawn or something. I drop my queen back to c3, And now he goes CD, ED. I have to probably take back with the pawn. If I take back like this position is miserable. First of all, my rook is trapped. But second of all, like, why would I ever want to play this? This seems awful. This seems god awful. Either way, I have to take back with the e-pawn. And now my opponent just brings his other rook, and I'm under so much pressure. I'm about to die here. I can't defend my c-pawn again. If I push it forward, he can actually just take it, which is pretty funny. He can just take it, and like if I go like rook c1 or something, first of all, he can just capture the pawn. He can just go here because the queen is the first defender, and this never works. I'm just losing here. I guess I can go for something like this and like bishop e6 and like here, and like in this line I'm doing quite well, but he's not going to do that. He's just going to move his king to d8, and after this I mean, like this is a thing that's going to come and happen. I have to go like knight e2 immediately, rook e8. You get the idea. It's a bad position. It's a bad position. So I'm just under like a ton of pressure, and I have to go quick. I play the best move here, which is good. I played queen e3 after a decently long think. I think for over a minute on this move queen e3. Just simply getting my queen out of the way and targeting his king instead. But simply king d8, well, he plays king d7. I thought king d8 would be better. It is better. But he plays king d7, and with the same idea, he wants to go here and just win my queen. And what am I supposed to do to that? I'm already almost losing. But somehow I try to keep my nerves, try to steal my nerves, and I find a nice idea. I take on d5. Take on d5. Gets a big fat orange question mark from the computer because the computer doesn't know nothing. Computer doesn't know anything. Computer is stupid. And my opponent goes here. Bad move. What he should have done instead was bring the c rook to e8. I thought this would work, but no, it actually doesn't. And I think he thought so too. Either way, he brings the a rook to e8. I go bishop e5 check, my whole idea. And it's only minus 1.5 now, even though I'm losing a full queen. It's only minus 1.5 because he has to kind of sack everything. I take with the bishop, which I thought was smart. I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to play knight f3, which is pretty funny. And then like allow all this, and I thought he moves his king out of the way, and then I take, and I'm worse. I mean, I just thought that I didn't have any counterplay in that position. So instead I take, and I take the rook. And what I'm arguing in this position is that here, what I have two rooks for the queen. I'm actually up a point of material right now just because 2 rooks equals 10 and queen equals 9. And it's bishop versus knight, so he's probably better, but at least I have some chances here and I can survive. I play the only move, knight e2. I have to bring my knight out to defend this square, first of all, from this fork, and I have to bring my knight out to defend, to make sure that this isn't actually that much of a threat anymore, because he was just threatening to win my rook, and I can't allow that. My opponent takes anyway. I bring my rook to g1. Of course, if he takes, I'm going to take on g7. I might get something here. It's equal on material, but it's probably black who's easily winning. Now, my opponent decides instead to play the best move, which is kind of absurd because I thought that queen h2 made a lot of sense. He plays this move queen e4. Very interesting move. First of all, he's threatening bishop here, which would just win the game on the spot, and I mean, that's not a thing that I can allow. So I don't. I go rook here. I can't really stop it, but after bishop g4, I would play rook d2 and defend my knight. So I thought this was okay. And if I didn't do that, if like I played rook g7, after bishop g4, I have to sack my rook. I can't play this because of a fork. And yeah, that'd be pretty bad. I did rook d1. My opponent decides to go bishop g6 instead, which I didn't really understand, because this gives me an opportunity to get my king out of dodge and maybe get into a very interesting position. So I go king f1 pretty quickly. I am trying not to I'm trying to get like some sort of like time thing going on here. I'm down a minute on the clock, but maybe I can get into some position where he blunders. And it's always possible that I could win this game, even though I am probably lost. And I know that I'm lost. I mean, I've come to terms with it. Fifth stage of grief, right? Either way, my opponent goes bishop h5, attacking my knight. I defend my knight. Nothing too simple, nothing too difficult here. Actually, knight g3 is better. I can see why, but I thought this made sense because I'm like threatening like this. So, I mean, very interesting. If it was a bad move, I would have gone rook king f8 here in like a second. Like you defend this, you keep the queen off the file. I mean, that seems like a best move in the position. He instead doesn't do that. He goes queen here, pinning my knight again. But now this allows me to get my other rook into the game with rook g3. And now I'm kind of in in a decent position because he doesn't have this anymore because of this. He didn't have that anyway because of this, but you know, either way, now he definitely doesn't have it. And I'm X-raying my pawn through his queen and defending it like that. My opponent goes here. I think for a while here and play not the best move. What I should have done is I should have actually like done this and gone for this position where I pick up the bishop, and this is probably a draw, like king f8, rook takes, g6. This is probably a draw. I should probably take with the other rook actually. Yeah, g6, and I mean, at the very end of the day, rook d2, it's probably a draw, but my opponent has good chances of winning. Now, instead of doing that, I took on g7 after a decent long think because this is still never a threat. I'm just going to recapture with a check. Very important with the check. And I'm picking up my material back. Material is always a good thing to have. I would rather have it than not have it, right? My opponent goes king f8. I take another pawn. Why not? I spent a long time on this move. I did not actually. I spent 2 seconds on this move. But I thought I spent a long time on this move because it's kind of a little scary. Like he might have some way to pick something up. He plays god-awful move though. He plays queen d5, and now I'm back to equal. I'm back to equal after the very easy move knight g3. The idea of queen d5 is that he's threatening this. I don't want to get mated, so knight g3 comes very naturally. And now my position actually looks great. I thought that I might even be better here because for one, he can't take this pawn. His bishop drops. My rook is not really going to be trapped. Like, if he goes here, like, I mean, I'd pick up the bishop. That's always nice. And he's going to have to move his bishop. He does. He goes bishop g6. Okay, I give him a check first. Thought this was normal. King up to g7. I bring my rook back here. I'm defending my pawns. I don't want to lose any pawns ever. I'm actually up a pawn in this position. It's a 4-on-3. But it's probably still a draw. And now it's kind of my opponent's fighting for a draw because the king is kind of in the center. It's a little tricky for him to keep everything together. He goes here with the queen. Very interesting move. I bring my rook up, defending my pawn with X-ray defense. Gives me this check, and now actually my position is better. Now actually I'm winning the game, which is a very nice turn of events for me because his king is super weak and I'm just up a pawn and he can't really do anything about that. He tried to get something happening. Man, you saw the future. Actually, I'm going to cut that out. Yeah, where are we? And now my position is actually quite better just because, like, I'm up a pawn. His king is super weak, and it's black fighting for a draw, but he's probably not going to get it. My opponent tries to get something happening here with the move a5. Very natural. He's trying to like use his 2-on-1 over on this side, but remember I have an extra pawn too. I go rook f4, which I thought was natural. The idea being I actually want to trade off the light squared bishop. I thought this was a very interesting idea, and get some counterplay over here. And my opponent goes rook c1, queen c1. Not a good move because it doesn't really do anything. It actually hurts him more than it helps him, because the queen had a target on this pawn, tying my rook down, and now it just doesn't. So I go knight f5 check. My whole idea, if he trades with me, I'm just easily winning because he can't ever like get these pawns forward. My rook just wins them both. And I'm just gonna push my pawn. Very nice stuff. He can't ever do that. So after knight f5 check, he goes king f8. Decent move. I push my pawn up a square. I want to push my pawn, right? Like, how else am I gonna win? I'm gonna promote and I'm gonna win. That's kind of my idea. I'm playing for a win now. Also, with the move d5, I'm disallowing any checks on this long diagonal, which I thought would be an issue in some lines. So I go d5. My opponent goes queen c5, a big mistake actually, due to the move knight e7. And I'm attacking the bishop. He can't take because of this, and I'm defending my pawn. Kind of a tough move to see. I didn't see that. I didn't play knight e7. Instead, I make another mistake. I play rook d3, which isn't good. I really shouldn't be self-pinning myself. But the reason this isn't good is because it kind of allows him to push his flank pawns over here. Whatever. It's all in day's work. My opponent comes back here and actually loses the game. But it's not so simple. It's actually very simple, but it's a little hard to see. Basically, the idea is the move I play is fine. I go rook d f3. I double up on this file. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna like win the game. But the move that is winning here is only one move. It's a very, very nice move. The move rook h3. And the reason why this is good is because I'm actually threatening a checkmate. The king has no squares, and what I'm also threatening is just rook here anyway, just picking up the queen. So if he takes here, rook h8, king e7, takes. This is a winning endgame. I can even go for something like this and like trade off these pawns. And I mean I have an h pawn. I'm just gonna push and win the game. I didn't see that. that would be a nice move. But instead, I keep a decent amount of advantage. I go rook df3. This is the second best move. I thought it was very useful because, well, I'm defending my knight and I'm starting some decent attack on my opponent's king. Queen there. I go knight here, which I thought was very good. The idea is very simple. I want to mate him. I want to trade off everything and get into a winning endgame. My opponent goes queen d5, knight f7, takes, and now I'm actually kind of easily winning here. Takes. My opponent trades off the queen for the two rooks, but this is just a losing king and pawn in game. What he should have done here is king e8. Also, here, the way to make a draw here is actually king e8 first. And here I have nothing. Here I just have nothing. I have to admit that I have nothing. Like king g3 or something. And yeah, this is just a draw by perpetual check. And well, I can't really get anything here. Actually, in that position, I would be winning. But either way, it's just a draw here. We don't have to look over all that. I'm not gonna look over all it. My opponent decides to trade the queen for the two rooks. But this is a winning endgame, and I kind of knew that it was a winning endgame. I played the wrong move though. I thought that my move was very, very interesting. I played move a4. I thought this was a good move. It's not. Idea of a4 being my one pawn is stopping two pawns. I've seen like Magnus games like this. I don't know. I probably shouldn't try to emulate Magnus when I'm like not even close to his level. But I mean, I've seen Magnus games like this. I wanna try and do something. Try to stop two pawns with one pawn. But what I should have done, I should have realized that my king is actually in time to get over here. Like by the time he gets all this, king e3 here takes, king's in the square. It wasn't my intention. Like even if he like really tries with a4, king's in the square. But I didn't do that. Instead, I went a4 immediately. My opponent goes here, which gets a great move by the computer. It's now a draw, only actually with good play from white now because I immediately make a mistake. I go h4, and I lose. I'm losing now. I'm actually losing. My opponent goes b5. I take on b5. My whole idea, I will push my pawn to promotion. I thought that maybe I could get something happening here. My opponent goes a4. I go b6. The whole idea. But this is losing. This is easily losing because the king is in the square and this pawn is not in time to rope because this will defend that. Not that good of me, but instead my opponent makes a huge mistake and plays a3, giving me the win after b7. My opponent's king can't stop it. Here, I promote first, queen, and I'm up 2 pawns in a queen endgame. This should be easily winning. Check, here, I push my pawn. My queen comes over here, check. check, check, push up, push up. I'm threatening lots of different ways over here. Keep in mind, I'm also desperately trying not to allow any checks with my opponent's king. I've done very good with that so far, but he is up a minute on the clock, so I have to be a little careful about my time management skill. That's kind of the only thing about this. Queen c8, check, check, and I'm able to pick up the queen trade after hitting both of these. Opponent decides instead to play on a little bit. King e2 takes, I make a new queen, and I'm trying to get him over to the corner to slay him with my king, but instead he just resigns in this position. Very, very sad. I really wish he didn't do that, because otherwise, of course, I would be bringing my king over. He would try to go here, obviously get for something like this, here, 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 and king checkmate. That's what I wanted to do. Unfortunately, lots of opponents do not allow you to do that. Very, very sad. Either way, that was this game. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys found this entertaining, instructive, all of the above. A very nice win with white. This is actually part of a three win streak, which is very, very nice. I'm up to 2140 from this game, and hopefully I will reach 2400 very, very soon. Yeah, remember to like, subscribe, do all the normal things that YouTubers tell you to do. Good evening and good night.